بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Dear listeners, viewers, students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope all of you are fine and staying safe. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we will be doing an important chapter, an important topics. And also, we have moved into paper 2 now. We have done our paper 1, and now we are moving towards paper 2. So today we're going to be doing the compulsory question of the paper 2. If any one of you have any question, just raise your hand and then wait for your turn. And I'll inshallah ta'ala answer your questions. Also, you can send your questions to me via email at Ustaaz, Ustaaz, Waqar, Waqar, Ustaaz Waqar at gmail.com. So, these are the topics that we'll be covering inshallah ta'ala, and these topics will be of great importance as well. And again, with the analysis, I want you to decide like which is the most important topic of this. What I mean is unit number 6. So let's look at the unit number 6 questions. Unit number 6 questions we're going to be looking at. As you all know, unit number 6 is actually the history and importance of Quran. History and importance of Quran. So now, history and importance of Quran is unit number 2. We already discussed that. Then unit number 6 talks about the history and importance of Hadith. So it looks at a different avenue, that is history and importance of Hadith. So the homework, let me start with the homework first. The homework which we were supposed to do, and that is, you have to learn the references of pillars of Islam and the references of Islamic law. And what are we doing today? Let's quickly have a look. This is our session number 6. This is our session number 6. And today is the 21st of September, and Tuesday is the day. And don't forget to log on YouTube, my channel of Ustaaz Waqar Nawaz at YouTube, and you can watch the previous lessons as well. Now, today's lesson is something, as I was telling you, is of a great significance because number one, it comprises of the compulsory question. The compulsory question that is from unit number 6. Then in unit number 6, we have variety of topics. And it's not just the topics which are one or two topics which are very popular or something like that. There are topics which their importance is changing with the passage of time. So this is an important thing that we're going to look at. Which topics are actually the key, or which topics are the ones which are important to us in the present time. Okay, now we'll be inshallah ta'ala moving towards our questions, and our questions are starting with, as we all know, that unit number 6 comprises of, starts with the introduction to Hadith, right? And then followed by an introduction to Sunnah. And after Sunnah, then it introduces us to an important aspect. It introduces us to an important aspect, that is the parts of it. So that's again an important, you need to be aware that what are the parts of hadith, right? I'm talking about the sanad and I'm talking about the matan. So those should be well known. Then once you have done that, then we move on to another, again, like how the compilation of hadith happens. So once the compilation of hadith is done, then move on to the compilation of hadith in different centuries. And this could be a B part B, but it's least likely. But there is a question which is being, and the hadith, particularly the non-Muslims or the Orientalists, they particularly criticize that, look, the best book in hadith, you call it Sahih Bukhari. Sahih Bukhari is coming somewhere in 200s, 250s or something. So why there is a gap of 200 years? If there is such a big gap, so how come you have got authentic hadith? So here comes the question, partially a question of authenticity of hadith. The question, which is very, very important, is authenticity of the hadith. And if this question comes in their students, authenticity of the hadith, it's a chance to get full marks. Right? This is an excellent opportunity how you can get maximum, that is by going through authenticity of the hadith. Then comes the next question. That is now within this authenticity of the hadith, there are 4 marks question as well. How do the muhaddisun ensure or what were the steps taken by them to ensure the matan, or what was done to ensure that the narrators are authentic, or they are of sound position and all that. So this is about and then we move on to another very important question. Then once we've done the authenticity of the hadith, the next thing comes in types of hadith, or the division of hadith, right? So types of hadith and division of hadith is actually one and the same thing, right? Then we come to a very similar, which is very confusing as well. The concept or the topic of the types of books of hadith. So one is types of hadith. I'm talking about Sahih, Hasan, Mawdu. Then we have books of hadith, Sunan, right? Then we have Sahih. Sorry, Sahih is type of hadith, but what do you call it? Sunan, Jame. Then we have those different types of hadiths that have, the types of books of hadith that we have. So that's very important that we are aware of the of our unit. What are we looking at? Now, let me share the screen with you to make it more better for you. See it clearly as well. So this is unit number 6, history and importance of hadith that we are talking about. History and importance of hadith that we are talking about. So this is unit number 6 that we are talking about. Now let's move on in this unit. This was our homework. We talked about that. And I would like you to write it down. Quran as a source of Islamic law. The references of Quran as a source of Islamic law. This is your writing work today. And I will give you 10 minutes at the end of today's session that you will be able to write it down. And then also the references of angels. Let's look at authenticity of the hadith first. The question is, June 2010, how did the compilers of hadith judge between acceptable and unacceptable hadith? This is a 10 marks question. What rules did the writers of 6 authentic books, Sahih Sitta, apply to ensure the authenticity of the hadith? And why, in your opinion, was it important for them to apply these rules? So we are moving on with authenticity of the hadith. If you notice, this is a 4 marks question, and the focus is again authenticity of the hadith. Then we have described the methods employed by the compilers of major books of hadith to ensure they collected are authentic. Again, authenticity of the hadith with a different wording. Why it is important for Muslims to have collections of authentic hadith? Please do look at the past papers. Right, this is an important, and your answer should be very straightforward, concise, and full of authentic reasons, like why, explaining the importance of that. Then we move on to hadith passages. In hadith, what is hadith passages? Now, this is something important to those. I am pretty hopeful most of you are aware of that. The 20 ahadith which are in unit number 5, those ahadith, the examiner cannot ask any question in question number 1 because that has to be regarding a hadith passage, teachings and actions. Now the examiner asks a similar question on these passages in question number 2. And now see carefully, starting from June 2009. He's been saying this. So the question came from this, we call it teachings of the hadith for the individual as well as for communal. So you notice, so what is it? It's a teachings of hadith for whom? For Muslim communal life. Then outline the main teachings of the hadith you have studied from the passage set by a special study about the responsibilities of individual Muslims. According to the teachings of the set hadith, you have studied, outlined the ways in which Muslims should treat one another. Again, this is one another means community. Then next question, why do Muslims need to know about the Prophet's hadith and what benefits do they get by following his sunnah? This is actually a question regarding sunnah as well, and also what we call it, we will take the points from the hadith for community as well. Outline the main teachings of said hadith about the conduct of Muslims' lives. This is simple question. Then we are moved on to Islamic law. As I discussed in the last lecture, which was on unit number 2, we touched on Islamic law as well. And in here, we notice that how have the hadiths of the Prophet been a source of guidance by Muslims, right? So because it's talking about hadith, so he talked about hadith as a source of Islamic law. Then truly my mercy will overcome my wrath is a hadith of Qudsi. What is special about this kind of hadith? We also find about them. Then explain by giving example how a hadith has been used together with the Quran in working out an Islamic law. Right? Then giving one example is how Sunnah is important to Muslims' life today. So again, this is an important, please do have a look at that question. Then Describe how hadith are used in establishing establishing law in Islam. Hadith as a source of Islamic law. Then outline the role of the following in formulating Islamic law, Prophet's hadith, and consensus. You see, consensus is from where? Ijma. So whenever you're preparing, whether in Unit 2, that is paper 1, or you are preparing Unit 6, that is paper 2, right? So you have to prepare Islamic law using all four sources: Quran, Hadith, Ijma, Qiyas, right? So you can use all these sources. Then some of the scholars have questioned analogy in Islamic law, that's Qiyas. And what do you think? This is an important question. Please go through that as well. Don't leave that question. Why do you think proper practice and ignore the use of Ijma? And this is again a tricky question. Please go through that question as well. And then what part of these in legal thinking? Like what is the role of the hadith in the legal thinking, that hadith is a source of Islamic law? This is the, and what importance consensus and ijma. So in Islamic law, whenever you, whether it's a paper 1, paper 2, you have to prepare in what do you call it, all the four sources: the Quran, Hadith, Qiyas, and Ijma and Qiyas. Then you move on to should be compilation. These are specific. Please ignore that heading, and because it's not compilation of the Quran. Look at the topic. The topics are already mentioned. This is why do you think the following guidance is regarded as communal living can improve society for today? This is to some extent, this is hadith for community as well, but do look at that question as well. November 2014 to B. Right. Then we have why do prophets hadith links belief and action so closely? This is the topic I was talking about yesterday as well. Belief and action in Islam, and then hadith is used there. How hadith links that? So we talk about that as well. So please look at these questions as well. I specifically took these questions out so that I could specifically discuss them. Then we have division of hadith. What are the advantages of different categories of hadith and the different types? So that's all we have. Students, inshallah ta'ala, and I'll be back with you in a moment, and then inshallah ta'ala we will try to discuss the rest. Inshallah ta'ala, have a look at these questions in front of you.
आहिस्ता कर अल्लाह के बंदे
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay, so this what we were discussing about the hadith as a source of Islamic law, and in this we discussed the different aspects, and we're looking at this, the division of hadith. In this, what are the advantages of having different categories of hadith? We're talking about here what are different types of hadiths, how is each of these classified into different types, right? And then explain the difference between musnad and musannaf. So musnad and musannaf is actually not a type of hadith. It is what? It is a book of hadith. So you're going to be looking at that. So yes, and this is the work, the homework I want you to do today for Thursday. Authenticity of the hadith, the teachings of hadith regarding individual, the teachings of hadith regarding community. If you have any questions, you can send me at ustazwaqar@gmail.com. So alhamdulillah, we covered unit number 6. If any welcome, you can send it to me via email, that is ustazwaqar@gmail.com. Take good